Just a robot.
So just so you guys don't see this video as, well, you know, clickbait, this video is not just going to be focusing on the new Masters of the Universe reboot. Or is it a continuation? I don't even know.
I'm losing it!
But before I get to it, I'm going to talk about Rey from Star Wars, Captain Marvel from, well, Captain Marvel, and Mulan from, well, Mulan. The live action one, not the cartoon. I will also be going into how politics are currently affecting our media, and I'm going to go over China's influence a little bit as well. First, I want to talk a little bit about women in media throughout the decade.
Let's get this over with.
Women, for the longest time, didn't really have the best roles. Usually their personality boiled down to being pretty and nice. Sometimes they were even boiled down to just being a MacGuffin. But during the 80s, there were a lot more women with superpowers, or women fighting alongside men and having various different personalities. But during the 90s, representation for women just exploded. In live action, animated stuff, this is when studios were really understanding how to make good female characters. But during the 2000s, women who were three-dimensional characters were just all over the place. They could have well-written story arcs, be some of the best villains, or they could be like Bella Swan and just be the worst thing ever. Now, I'm not saying no good female characters existed before the 2000s, before the 90s, or before the 80s. I'm just saying they got a lot more common in these specific decades. But during the 2010s, something weird started happening. Studio executives used to say things like, we need a good female character who will appeal to the masses. I got it, we make her really hot, with some big assets. The prettier we make her, the better. Now studios say things like, yes, that was a good soy latte. We need a female character. Oh, I got it. We make her really powerful, with no flaws whatsoever. In fact, her one weakness is that she actually underestimates her power. The stronger we make her, the better. Now, while my motherboard was certainly a classic Christian conservative robot, my fatherboard was a big 80s guy, and introduced me to things like RoboCop, Terminator, and of course, Star Wars. Star Wars was a big part of my childhood. I was even young enough to really enjoy the prequel trilogy. And I was pumped for the sequel trilogy. I heard a black guy was going to be the main character, and then the movie actually came out, and the black guy became less and less of a main character as the movies went on. The main character was actually a female named Rey, who basically has no personality. Now, to be fair, Luke and Anakin weren't exactly the most three-dimensional complex characters, but Rey seemed to be even more bland than them. But holy shit was she powerful. She's the only main character able to shoot fucking lightning out of her hands. Luke in his second movie wasn't even able to use the Force to take an X-Wing out of a swamp, but Rey could levitate several dozen boulders at once. She figured out a problem on the Millennium Falcon that not even Han Solo knew about. In the first Star Wars movie, Luke got his ass kicked by a sand person, and Rey beat two guys by herself. In each movie, she just got more and more powerful, up until the last movie where she defeated fucking Palpatine. The Captain Marvel movie actually messes with the main Marvel canon. Captain Marvel is also the most powerful Marvel superhero at this point. In fact, she's more powerful than any of the Avengers, even fucking Thor and Hulk. And just recently in WandaVision, they're now implying that Wanda might actually be the strongest. Like, what the fuck? They say she's even more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme Doctor Strange. What is going on? What is Captain Marvel's big weakness that she has to overcome? Well, it's that she's not using her full power. She easily defeats a whole fleet of alien ships all by herself, which is a lot less interesting than, you know, how every other Marvel superhero handles their villain. With this interesting thing called, oh, I don't know, strategy! Needless to say, a lot of people complained about both of these characters, but the critics at Rotten Tomatoes seem to absolutely love them. And just like in Star Wars, they make the black guy even less of a main character. What is the interesting origin to how McFury lost his eye? A cat scratched it out. Yeah, it's kind of funny, I guess, but what about the line he said to Captain America where the last time he trusted someone, he lost an eye? Guess McFury is also a liar now, apparently. Both of these are also Disney movies. But I'm sure Disney learned their lesson, and they're doing a live-action Mulan movie. Mulan was an excellent animated female character. I'm sure they won't mess this— oh god. Oh no. Oh. Mulan is born with this thing called Chi, which was never mentioned in the animated movie. Guess Disney wanted to just do Star Wars again. She's a complete and total badass from when she's a fucking child. And what's her big weakness? What's holding her back? Well, it's because disguising herself as a man makes her untrue to herself and keeps her from being at full power. There's a female villain. At least we got one of those. Oh no, wait, she's good now. Because every woman on Earth has to be fucking perfect. And just like Rey from Star Wars and Captain Marvel, her personality is about as interesting as a sack of napkins. Or I guess in this case, tofu. And this is where I realized something. Being pretty and nice is not a personality. And neither is being super powerful. They want women to be powerful, but they also don't want them to have any flaws whatsoever or work towards that power. That just goes to show you how bad cancel culture has gotten. I'm just about to talk about Masters of the Universe, but before I do, I just want to briefly talk about how China is influencing our media. Now, I know this might come as a shocker to you, but China is a really big country. And I heard that China really likes strong female characters. I don't know if that's true or not, but there's one thing I do know that's true. They really don't like the gays, and gay representation has certainly been going down in the media as of late. Anything gay in Captain Marvel? Nope. Anything gay in Mulan? Nope. Anything gay in Star Wars? There was a kiss in the background in one scene, but it was edited out of the Chinese version. You know how Finn became less of a main character as the movies went on and he became less and less visible on the posters? Well, some people think that has something to do with China, because China also ain't the biggest fan of, well, black people. So if you can't give as much representation to black people or gay people, where do you put it? You put it all in women. You can make your female characters powerful, just have them work for it more. Give them a flaw or two that doesn't have to do with them not knowing their full potential. And give them some goddamn personality. But what do the three movies I just mentioned all have in common? Oh, I know! They're all in live action. And at least animated female characters are still pretty good. And then Masters of the Universe Revelations came out. And it was, wow, just wow. The trailer showed He-Man a lot, and we just had a She-Ra cartoon, so now it was He-Man's turn to be the main character. Clownfish TV, who are an anti-SJW channel with a lot of insider information, exposed that He-Man wasn't going to be the main character, and instead a female was going to take the lead. The head director of the show, Kevin Smith, denied what Clownfish TV said. He said on Twitter, He-Man does no stepping aside, and Teela has no girlfriend in the show. And while one of those things seems to be true for now, Teela doesn't have a girlfriend, which I really don't care if she does or doesn't, He-Man does step aside. How does he? Oh, I don't know. He dies in episode 1. Now, to be fair, he doesn't go out like a bitch like Luke Skywalker did. He actually sacrificed himself to save the entire universe. But still, he's dead in episode fucking 1! How is that not stepping aside? He's dead! Yes, he does come back to life in the last episode, spoiler alert, but then he's taken out. like a bitch this time. Another thing happens in episode 1. So you guys remember Invincible, right? And how much people hated Amber's character? Well, they didn't hate her character at first. They started hating her character after Mark revealed his secret identity to her. And she said she always knew.
You what?
She was angry at him for keeping a secret that he, you know, really should keep from her for her own protection and the protection of his whole family. She also technically lied to him because she knew his secret identity, and she was acting like he was just brushing her off for nothing. Well, Tila somehow outdoes Amber in the first episode by blowing up at her own foster father and He-Man's parents because she's upset that he kept a secret from her. Lady, their child is dead! And the worst part is, she receives no consequences for doing this. What, are we trying to teach women that they can act like total bitches and not get slapped in the face for it? Tila does have a friend who's black, and that's all I remember about her character. I mean, yeah, she's good at technology, but Man-at-Arms is still way above her, being able to make a sentient robot. She doesn't have any superpowers, and she's kind of just there. I'm not gonna lie, if she was white, I would have forgotten about her existence entirely. What is Tila's weakness? Her biggest fear? The main thing that's holding her back? Well, it's because she doesn't see herself as amazing as she really is. You know, so much for your tweet, Kevin Smith, where you said, our series is literally all about He-Man. You should have said the opposite. Our series has literally nothing to do with He-Man. At least that would be closer to the truth. I mean, if they want to make a woke He-Man show, just make He-Man gay. He's a big, muscly man who wears pink and hangs out with other muscly men. Granted, when He-Man first came out, people really didn't see him as gay. You could actually be a big muscly bro and slap your friend on the ass and not be seen as gay back then. You could also be an old man and hang out with a teenager without people immediately assuming you were an EDP. He-Man's marketing was just like Last of Us 2. You think the main character from The Last of Us, I mean the last game, is going to be the main character, but instead it's someone else, and that someone else has a vagina. So studios do know that people don't like what they're actually doing. So they lie pretending that they're not doing that, and then they do it. This is not how an adult should act, this is what a child does. It's like how your vegan friend promises you in the next cookout he's not just going to make veggie burgers, and then he does just that, hoping you'll suddenly be, I don't know, converted to his side? Like, what was going through Kevin Smith's mind? Did he think, people won't watch this if Tila's the main character? Oh, I got it. I'll say it's all going to be about He-Man, and then once they watch the show, they'll see just how amazing it is. And then people will accept me for the liar I am. Oh, one more thing, I almost forgot this. When they go to the afterlife and meet all the old masters of the universe, the very first one ever was black. And when I saw this, I said, can't wait for him to disappear and never show up again in 4 minutes. And that's what happens. The main question I have to ask is, who is this for? Why would you take Star Wars, a male-dominated fan base, and make a female the main character, but also make her one of the worst female characters ever? Marvel is male-dominated, and then they give us one of the worst female characters ever. The He-Man fan base is absolutely dominated by older men. What do? Make one of the worst female characters ever. Is this like a plot to get men to hate women? Oh god, they basically made Skeletor an incel. I always wondered what happened to Elliot Rodger when he died, and now I know! People can keep saying that the show was only review bombed because there was a female lead and people didn't like that, but at the end of the day, the fans were lied to. You probably heard the old saying, get woke, go broke. But the truth is, if you know what to be woke with and what not to be woke with, it will make you even more money. You want to appeal to a Chinese market? Take out the gays. We don't need that kind of wokeness. China really likes strong women? Put extra amounts of that in there. We keep asking ourselves, who is this even for? Well, it's simple. It's for the Chinese. Everything in America used to say made in China on it. Well, now it's the opposite. I mean, not literally, but you guys know what I mean.
Liars! Liars everywhere!